Hey, Sam here, doing another unboxing and first impressions, but this time of the Kobalt 80-volt electric chainsaw with 18-inch chain. We've recently moved to Tennessee, to a small town called Livingston. We have 2 acres and well over 100 trees on the property. On a windy day, a tree fell over and we realized there's several dead trees that need to be cut down. Turns out some of these trees slowly rot. Termites get into it, beetles bore in, and the tree gets weaker. We didn't want one of the trees to fall on our home, a neighbor's home, on a car, or a person for that matter. Although chopping at those trees with an axe proved to be a great workout, it's not practical for the amount of work that needs to be done. I didn't want to deal with a gas-powered tool, plus we don't have the full-time need for a chainsaw and cutting the trees. That's why we purchased this battery-powered chainsaw. Let's talk specifications. We're knee-deep in the DeWalt electric power tool ecosystem, but when it came time to purchase the chainsaw, I learned that to get something worthwhile, you have to get 40 volts or more. The smaller 20-volt chainsaws are really only for small branches, and we have some pretty good sized trees to cut. Kobalt was offering this 18-inch chainsaw with an 80-volt battery for $200, where they normally advertise for $250. Note, this $250 one that was discounted to $200 comes with the 2-amp battery. There is a 5-amp battery package, but that one's $300. Definitely a 5-amp battery will give you a lot more time out there cutting, but we didn't want to spend the extra $100, so we went for the smaller battery. Since we can't interchange batteries from the drill, weed eater, and other 20-volt tools to this chainsaw, we went for the cost savings of the Kobalt unit instead. I see the Kobalt chainsaw listed on Amazon for $309.99 with the smaller battery, so we did really come out ahead on this purchase price-wise. Since we can't interchange the batteries from the DeWalt drill, weed eater, and other 20-volt tools that we have, we went for the cost savings of the Kobalt chainsaw instead. I see it listed on Amazon for $309.99. That's for the smaller battery, so we really came out ahead on this purchase price-wise. As it stands, this unit has 97 4.5 star reviews on Amazon and over 1,000 4.5 star reviews on Lowe's.com. This was enough to give me confidence that it could handle the small to medium-sized trees on our property. The weight of the chainsaw with the battery is around 13.7 pounds. I'll give you more of my impression on that a little later. Chain speed is 36.1 feet per second. I'm not sure how that stacks up against gas-powered chainsaws or other chainsaws, but it sounds good to me. As mentioned before, the length of the chain is 18 inches. The one we purchased came with an 80-volt 2-amp battery. It says it has internal monitoring and a quick read fuel gauge, which is 3 LED lights indicating if it's 33, 66, or 100% charge. Well, sort of. The box says the battery will charge in 30 minutes. I'm not sure about that because when I plugged it in, I fell asleep. So the next morning I discovered it was fully charged. I think the battery gets hot sometimes. It has a built-in fan on the inside of the battery. Also, it says it gives 150 cuts on one charge. But is that for huge trees or for small branches? And what size battery do you have to get that many cuts? If you read the fine print, and I do mean super tiny fine print at the very bottom, it says 4x4 pressure treated lumber. In some reviews that I read, it turns out it doesn't really perform as well as they say on the box, but it is pretty good. I assume you need the larger battery capacity to achieve that many cuts on 4x4s. It sounds a little gimmicky to me. The packaging says it comes with onboard tool storage, and I finally found a sort of wrench type thingy slid into the back handle at the very bottom. You can use this tool to remove the bar and chain, or use the other end of it to tighten the chain so it doesn't fall off when you're cutting. It uses a brushless motor, which I wouldn't have purchased this otherwise, but there you go, brushless motor. It comes with a plastic cover for the chainsaw, which makes me feel better when I'm storing it for some reason. The one that I purchased includes the battery and the charger, which is great for the price. It made me wonder if these have a bad rep or if they're just trying to get rid of them. As mentioned before, it has plenty of 4.5 star reviews, so I'm guessing probably not. If it cuts trees and branches for a few years, it will have my vote of confidence. Operation is simple and I felt safe enough. There's an on and off button, then you press a release with your thumb, which allows you to press the trigger to get the chain going. There's a lever at the top of the chainsaw with an unlock lock icon on it. You have to push it away from the main handle quite a bit to get it to click into the locked position. I'm not sure what that would be used for, and I could see it easily getting bumped and unlocking. The chainsaw does not come ready to use right out of the box. I was not pleased to discover this. Someone who's never had a chainsaw before, I didn't realize that you need lubricant to use this chainsaw. I had to make another run to grab some chain lubricant, which is called bar and chain oil for some reason. The good news is you don't have to mix fuel with oil like you do with gas chainsaws, and you don't have to deal with other challenges with gas-powered chainsaws either. Filling the tank was easy enough, but I misgauged how much goes in there. It was too full and spilling over. I thought wiping it up was enough, but even as we used it, more oil kept seeping out from somewhere. So hopefully that stops soon. I was pleasantly surprised it's relatively quiet, like those bush trimmers, but a little louder. It's more of a grinding noise as the chain passes through the tree trunk or branch that you're trying to cut. It's as heavy as I expected it to be, which is pretty heavy. I've never owned a chainsaw, so I don't have a reference point, but I did briefly pick up some gas-powered ones at the store, and I would say this Kobalt unit felt a bit heavier than those. We only have a 2 amp battery. I have seen all the way up to 5 amps, so it could be even heavier. My son and I took turns practicing cutting branches and logs. We did about 6 cuts the first day. You know, they were small trees, around 8 to 12 inches in diameter. But after 3 or 4 cuts, the chain started to sag a little bit. I haven't figured out how to tighten the chain, but I heard it can wear out the motor or something if it's not properly tightened. Not too tight though, that's bad too. At one point, I handed the chainsaw to my son over a fence because a tree we knocked down fell over the wrong way, and it was in the city's water tower area. My son Sammy fits under the fence, whereas my saggy gut wouldn't squeeze through. But I will still say it was difficult to lift the chainsaw high enough to hand it to him. If we were going to be cutting several trees into sections to store for firewood, I think I would want at least one more of the larger batteries. We could recharge quickly enough to continuously work. The problem is the second battery would run $300. Well, for the 5 amp battery anyway, which is more than the chainsaw and the first battery cost. I'm not sure how much of a workhorse this chainsaw will be. I guess time will tell. Final thoughts are that the unit was a good price. It seems to have a good reputation. It's definitely going to do a good job cutting old rotted out trees on our property and should be good enough for our needs. It feels sturdy, and although a bit heavier than I wanted it to be, it didn't seem to hinder us from the work we needed to do. I wish it would come with a small container of bar and chain oil so we could use it right away instead of having to run to the store to grab a can of that. It should at least say on the box that you need the lubricant so that you're aware, but it wasn't the end of the world though. I don't see myself buying a second battery anytime soon because of how expensive those are, and hopefully I can take care of this battery so it lasts a long time. I love the low noise. We're not using ear protection at all, and I don't feel that we're going to need it. I look forward to learning what it will take to maintain this chainsaw long term, but so far it looks like it was a good purchase and it's not going to have a lot of maintenance in general. With my limited experience, I would recommend this to a friend. In fact, I have a friend who was wondering about one chainsaw to purchase. So Jeff, I would say this is a good purchase. It will definitely do the job. Okay, take care and good luck. Stay safe out there.